So the iPhone SE 2020 and the iPhone XR are two different phones that have been out for a little bit of time now. So let's go and see how both these phones kind of compare in 2025. Let's go and see if they're worth buying. Let's see if they're great. And we'll take a look at all these things throughout this whole entire video. First things first, if you do want to go ahead and pick up either one of these phones or maybe some other phones I would recommend buying this year, links will be down in the description below. You can get that from there and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the side of both these phones, the iPhone XR, which came out back in 2018, on the front side of this particular phone is giving you a 6.1-inch liquid retina IPS panel on it. Now, these types of panels are slightly outdated when it kind of comes down to it. They're not the most up-to-date types of screens anymore, and they're definitely going to be giving you somewhat of a more limited type of experience, right? But it's still going to be giving you a notch. It's still going to be, giving you a pretty large display. It's larger than the iPhone SE2, so you are still able to go ahead and get a device and get a phone that actually still looks pretty decent, right? But it's not a perfect display, and it's not really even that great of a display, but it gets the job done. And I do think if you are about to go through and pick up a device, this thing's not really like that terrible of an option. So maybe from that side, that's kind of one of the big things to keep in mind there. With the iPhone SE 2020, on the other hand, this one is a little bit of a different type of situation. So with this particular device, you're going to be getting a little bit of a different type of experience here. This particular device is going to be giving you a, kind of smaller 4.7-inch Retina IPS panel. So this panel is going to be slightly different here. The thing you're going to have to remember with this particular device is that this is going to be, first of all, a little bit smaller, right? It's going to be an IPS panel as well. But the big thing here is that the design language of this phone is fairly outdated, as you can probably imagine. Like, this type of device really doesn't necessarily look that great. And that could end up being one of the main issues that you might run into here. Like, if you're about to go through and pick up a device like this, you're definitely going to be getting a device that is going to be showing its age quite a bit. So I would kind of hate for you to go through and pick up a device like this. If you're already, if you're getting this type of device, it's going to already be showing its age. It's going to feel like a little bit of an older phone. Whereas if you were to look through with the iPhone XR, even that one does actually look a little bit nicer when it kind of comes down to it. So I do think that right there is another big thing to kind of keep in mind there for the most part. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but it could just be one of those things that you might end up experiencing there from that particular situation. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there for the most part. Now, on top of that, some other very big things to keep in mind here too. They're both giving you lightning ports at the bottom, which is always nice to have. I love having lightning, and you're essentially going to be getting that here as well. You're also going to be able to go through and still be able to get this curved side to it that still feels fairly premium. So it doesn't really feel too bad or too outdated from that particular perspective, which is something important to kind of think about. And then on top of that, there's not really too much else kind of to keep in mind here. With these types of phones, they're both giving you solid glass backs. They're also still able to go through and then give you, a single camera setup in the top left corner. But there's a couple things that these phones are missing out on that a lot of phones basically have nowadays. Number one, you're missing out on an OLED display. Most phones do end up giving you OLED displays. Both these phones are not giving you that. You're also missing out on things like a high refresh rate, high brightness, multiple camera setups, MagSafe capability, USB Type-C. There's a lot of stuff that you're already kind of missing out on that would be kind of nice if you were to go and get some other devices. So, although it's not the biggest deal in the world, you are probably going to end up experiencing some type of problems and some types of issues if you go through and use these types of devices from that particular side. So, again, it's not the biggest deal in the world, but it is, could be one of those things you might end up experiencing here for the most part. So from that side, that's kind of another thing to keep in mind there as well. Now, on top of that, another very big thing to keep in mind here too is the fact that between both these types of devices, you're still going to be able to get those camera setups on the backside. So as always, this is one of those big things to keep in mind here as well. You're still going to be able to go through and get a pretty decent type of experience. They're both 12 megapixel sensors on the backside. Then you're also getting this 5 megapixel camera on the front side. So it's more or less 7 megapixel camera on the front side. So it is kind of more or less kind of the same thing you'd probably expect between both. There's not really these massive differences here by any means. So I would probably tell you from that side too, you're not really going to be missing out on too much. Both these devices are still going to be giving you really good experiences, but they're not going to be that amazing. They're both clearly missing out on some big key areas. Number one, both these phones are basically missing out on multiple camera setups. and you're not getting 4K at 60 on the front side. A majority of phones nowadays are giving you some sort of 4K at 60 on the front. These phones aren't really giving you that. So that right there is going to be another really big disadvantage of going through and buying one of these types of devices, because you're already about to go through and get a device that's already going to be outdated. So what would even be the point of kind of buying a phone like this at that point, right? When there's probably other better devices that you could probably get your hands on. So that's always one kind of thing to keep in mind here. Albeit it's not the biggest deal in the world, you will probably end up experiencing some sort of annoyingness when it comes down to this type of device from that particular side. So like I said, it's not the biggest deal in the world, but it could be one of those types of annoying things you might end up experiencing there. When it comes down to software longevity, both these devices are still supported with software. So that's always a nice thing, luckily. So we're still going to be able to get like quite a bit of software support between these types of devices. So that would be kind of a nice thing. But you will have to remember that within these types of devices, once again, you are basically going to go through and kind of get a device that, it's not going to be supported for like an insane amount of time. So if you are trying to go through and get a device that's going to be lasting for a longer period of time, unfortunately, these devices really aren't going to be giving you that. They're still going to be here. They're still going to be giving you some experiences here and there, but they're not really going to be as great of an experience as you probably would have expected. So that right there is going to be another one of those big things. I think in terms of battery life, possibly the iPhone XR could end up giving you better battery life, but the SE2 I always had like decent battery life with it for its size. So that could be one thing to keep in mind there too, but it's not the biggest deal in the world, but it could just be one of those other things to keep in mind there. When it comes down to the performance though, this was always something that was also very interesting. The iPhone SE, 2 basically was giving you the Apple A13 Bionic chip with 3 gigabytes of RAM, where the iPhone XR is giving you the Apple A12 Bionic chip with 3 gigs of RAM. So you are actually technically getting a faster phone inside of the iPhone SE2. But the main difference here though is that with the iPhone SE2, that type of device is basically going to go through and it's essentially going to be kind of giving you this type of experience where it's probably going to be a little bit better than something like an iPhone, SE2 in some ways, because the iPhone, XR does actually have the gesture-based design. This right there actually does kind of make the iPhone XR feel and perform a little bit better. So that is actually something I like a lot about the iPhone XR, just because you're going to be able to get that gesture design. That's going to make that phone feel and perform that much better for the most part. So I will probably tell you from almost every single way you can kind of think about it, I definitely do think something like the iPhone XR, that is kind of the device that would probably kind of, think that might be the better one here for some people. It wouldn't be the better one for most people, but I feel like if you are about to go through and like pick up a phone, you might actually be able to get a decent type of experience here in some cases. Like this type of device is not really that terrible. And I would probably tell you, like I said, if you're going to go through and pick up a device, this thing's not a terrible option here. But I think the iPhone SE2, is good in some cases. But at the same time, I don't really think this would be a phone I'd recommend people to buy either. So I think an iPhone 13 would probably be the one I'd recommend, an iPhone 12. Those types of devices would definitely make a lot more sense to go and buy rather than these types of devices when it comes down to it. So from that side as well, that kind of covers it up here too. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.